Today we're breaking down Atomic Habits by James Clear. Ever notice how you can completely transform your life for 3 days and then somehow end up back where you started? Like, you have all the motivation in the world on Sunday night, but by Tuesday afternoon, you're back to your old patterns? And you keep wondering why everyone else seems to have willpower when you can't even stick to drinking more water. James Clear discovered, after analyzing thousands of behavioral studies, that lasting change has nothing to do with willpower or motivation. It's about designing systems that make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. In this video, you will learn 7 scientific strategies to rewire your behavior at the smallest level, including the Plateau of Latent Potential that explains why you quit right before breakthrough, and the 1% method that turns imperceptible changes into remarkable results. Watch till the end to understand how to build habits that stick forever, not through massive action or perfect discipline, but through tiny adjustments that compound into extraordinary outcomes. Lesson number 1, the Plateau of Latent Potential. This first concept explains why every attempt at change feels like failure, and why that feeling is lying to you. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a room at 25 degrees. You heat the room to 26 degrees. Nothing happens. 27 degrees. Still frozen. 28, 29, 30, 31 degrees. Still nothing. Then, at 32 degrees, suddenly it begins to melt. Was the work from 25 to 31 degrees wasted? No, it was stored. This is how habits work. You're putting in work, but seeing no results. You eat healthy for a week, no weight loss. You write daily for a month, no audience. You practice piano for 6 weeks, still sound terrible. So you quit, thinking it's not working. Clear calls this the Plateau of Latent Potential. All your work is being stored, building up potential energy that will eventually break through. But most people quit during the plateau right before the breakthrough. Think about bamboo. It spends 5 years building roots underground with no visible growth. Then, in 6 weeks, it shoots up 90 feet. Those 5 years weren't wasted. They were preparation. Your habits work the same way. Every action you take is casting a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single vote will swing an election, but the compound effect of all those votes creates landslide victories. You might not see change for weeks or months, but it's happening below the surface. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. Knowledge compounds. Relationships compound. Skills compound. But the results lag behind the effort, sometimes by months or years. But here's what changes everything. Success is not linear. It's exponential. Going from 0 to 1 feels impossible. Going from 1 to 2 feels hard. But going from 98 to 100, that happens almost automatically. The problem is, everyone quits somewhere between 0 and 2. If you improve 1% daily, you'll be 37 times better after 1 year. Not 365% better, 3,700% better. That's the power of compounding. But on day 30, you're only 30% better, which feels like nothing. This is why most people never experience exponential results. They quit during the linear phase. The valley of disappointment is where dreams go to die. You expected linear progress, but got a plateau. You think you're failing when actually you're storing energy for a breakthrough. Every rep, every page, every healthy meal is building potential that will eventually explode into results. Which brings us to why goals might be ruining your life. Lesson number 2, systems versus goals. This principle flips conventional wisdom on its head. Forget about setting goals. Focus on systems instead. Winners and losers have the exact same goals. Every athlete wants to win gold. Every business wants to profit. Every person wants to be fit. If successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then goals cannot be what separates them. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about it. Lose 20 pounds is a goal. Eating vegetables with every meal is a system. Write a book is a goal. Writing 200 words daily is a system. Get promoted is a goal. Improving one skill weekly is a system. Goals create an either-or conflict. Either you achieve your goal and are successful, or you don't and you're a failure. You're essentially saying, I'm not good enough yet, but I will be when I reach my goal. It's a form of conditional happiness. Systems thinking eliminates this. When you focus on practice instead of performance, you can be satisfied anytime your system is running. You're successful every day you follow your system, not just on the day you achieve your goal. But here's the real problem with goals. They're at odds with long-term progress. When you achieve a goal, what then? Many people revert to old habits after reaching their target. The purpose was to win the game, but the purpose of systems is to continue playing the game. Goals restrict your happiness to one scenario. Systems enable countless paths to success. If your goal is to become a best-selling author, but your system is to write daily, you might become a successful blogger, screenwriter, or journalist instead. The system opens possibilities. The goal closes them. When you solve problems at the systems level, you solve them forever. Fix a goal-level problem, and you'll need another goal. Fix a systems-level problem, and you'll keep winning with the same system. True behavior change is identity change. You might start with a goal, but the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. You're not trying to write a book, you're being a writer. Which leads us to the most overlooked part of habit formation. Lesson number 3. The third layer of behavior change. Most people try to change their habits the wrong way. They focus on what they want to achieve instead of who they wish to become. There are 3 layers of behavior change. Outcomes, what you get. Processes, what you do. And identity, who you are. Most people start from the outside and work in. They should start from the inside and work out. Outcome-based habits. I want to lose weight. Process-based habits. I eat healthy foods. Identity-based habits. I'm a healthy person. Same action, completely different psychological foundation. When you make your bed, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you write a sentence, you embody the identity of a writer. When you go to the gym, you embody the identity of an athlete. Each action is evidence for the identity you're building. The more evidence you have for an identity, the more you'll believe it. This is why small wins matter. They're not just building habits, they're building beliefs about yourself. You're literally becoming a different person, one small action at a time. Your identity emerges from your habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. But here's where people get stuck. They cling to their current identity, even when trying to change. I'm not a morning person while trying to wake up early. I'm bad with money while trying to save. I'm not athletic while trying to exercise. Your identity is fighting your behavior. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. Don't say, I want to quit smoking. Say, I'm not a smoker. Don't say, I'm trying to run a marathon. Say, I'm a runner. When behavior and identity align, change becomes not just easier, but inevitable. You're no longer pursuing behavior change. You're acting in alignment with who you are. The habit isn't something you do. It's someone you are. This is why habits stick or don't stick. If the habit conflicts with your identity, it will fail. If it aligns with your identity, it becomes automatic. You're not trying to do something. You're being yourself. Which brings us to the 4-step pattern that controls every habit. Lesson number 4. The habit loop decoded. Every habit, good or bad, follows the exact same 4-step pattern, and once you understand it, you can engineer any behavior change. The habit loop. Cue triggers the behavior. Craving, the motivation. Response, the actual habit. Reward, the benefit you gain. Remove any component, and the habit dies. Optimize all 4, and the habit becomes automatic. Your brain is constantly scanning for cues that predict rewards. Coffee cup triggers desire for caffeine. Phone buzz triggers desire for information. Couch triggers desire for relaxation. These cues are so subtle, you don't notice them, but they control your behavior. The craving is not for the habit itself, but the change in state it provides. You don't crave smoking, you crave relief. You don't crave scrolling, you crave stimulation. You don't crave pizza, you crave satisfaction. The habit is just the vehicle for the feeling. Clear discovered you can hack this loop with 4 laws. Make it obvious, cue. Make it attractive, craving. Make it easy, response. Make it satisfying, reward. Or inverse them to break bad habits. But here's the brilliant part. You can stack these laws for exponential effect. Want to drink more water? Make it obvious, bottle on desk. Plus attractive, add lemon. Plus easy, pre-fill bottles. Plus satisfying, track on chart. Each law multiplies the others. Implementation intentions remove the decision-making. I will behavior at time and location. Not I'll exercise more, but I will walk for 20 minutes at 7 a.m. in the park. Specificity kills procrastination. Environment design is the ultimate cue control. Your habits are shaped by your spaces. Want to practice guitar? Put it in the living room, not the closet. Want to eat healthy? Hide junk food and display fruits. Your environment should make good habits obvious and bad habits invisible. The 2-minute rule conquers the response. Scale any habit down to 2 minutes. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes roll out mat. You're mastering showing up before optimizing. Standardize before you optimize. Temptation bundling makes habits attractive. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Only listen to podcasts while walking. Only watch Netflix while folding laundry. You're not restricting enjoyment. You're bundling it with improvement. Which brings us to why small changes beat big ones. Lesson number 5. The aggregation of marginal gains. This strategy turned British cycling from embarrassment to dominance, and it can transform your life the same way. In 2003, British Cycling hired Dave Brailsford. British cyclists had won just 1 gold medal in 100 years. Brailsford didn't pursue massive changes. He pursued 1% improvements in everything. They redesigned bike seats for comfort, tested fabrics for aerodynamics, hired surgeons to teach proper hand washing, brought their own pillows to hotels for better sleep, painted the truck floor white to spot dust on bikes. Hundreds of 1% improvements. Within 5 years, British cyclists dominated the Olympics and Tour de France. They won 178 world championships and 66 Olympic medals. Not from one big change, but from aggregating marginal gains. Here's the math. Improve 1% daily, and you're 37 times better after a year. Decline 1% daily, and you're at nearly 0. The difference between tiny gains and tiny losses is massive when compounded over time. Most people underestimate small improvements because they're looking for dramatic change. They want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, not 1 pound per week. They want overnight success, not daily progress. So they dismiss small improvements as meaningless. But here's what they miss. Small improvements are believable, sustainable, and they compound. You can't suddenly run 10 miles if you're sedentary, but you can walk to the mailbox, then the corner, then around the block. Small improvements don't trigger resistance. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. A millionaire with terrible spending habits is heading toward broke. A broke person saving $5 daily is heading toward wealth. The aggregation of marginal gains works because it bypasses your brain's threat detection. Massive change triggers fear and resistance. Marginal change flies under the radar. Your brain doesn't resist 1% improvement. It doesn't even notice it. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. The difference is invisible today, but obvious in 10 years. Which brings us to the advanced strategy for habit masters. Lesson number 6, habit stacking and environment design. These two advanced strategies can make new habits automatic by piggybacking on existing behaviors and spaces. Habit stacking uses your current habits as triggers for new ones. The formula: after current habit, I will new habit. Your brain already has strong neural pathways for existing habits. You're just adding a station to an existing train route. After I pour coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. After I close my laptop, I will do 5 push-ups. You're not building from scratch. You're building on existing foundations. The key is choosing the right trigger habit. It needs to happen automatically, happen at the right frequency, and happen at a time that works for the new habit. Daily habits make the best triggers because they provide consistent cues. But environment design might be even more powerful. Your habits are shaped by your spaces. We're all environmentally dependent. We just don't realize it. Change your environment, change your behavior automatically. Each environment should have one primary use. Your bed is for sleeping, not scrolling. Your desk is for working, not gaming. When spaces have mixed uses, your brain gets mixed signals. Clean spaces, clean behaviors. Visual cues are the strongest behavioral triggers. If you want to remember vitamins, put them where you make coffee. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to practice guitar, put it in your living room, not the closet. But here's the advanced move. Create sacred spaces for important habits. Have a reading chair that's only for reading. A meditation corner that's only for meditation. Your brain will begin associating the space with the state. Sitting in your reading chair will automatically trigger focus. Reduce friction for good habits by designing your environment to support them. Pre-chop vegetables on Sunday. Lay out workout clothes before bed. Delete social apps from your phone. Every point of friction you remove makes the habit more likely. Add friction for bad habits. Unplug the TV after each use. Log out of social media after each session. Put junk food on the highest shelf. Every point of friction you add makes the habit less likely. Prime your environment for future use. When you finish watching TV, set it up for the next good use. Maybe put a book on the remote. After eating, immediately clean and set the table for tomorrow. You're making the next good decision easier. Which brings us to the final master principle. Lesson number 7. The Goldilocks rule and variable rewards. This final principle explains why some habits become addictive, while others feel like work, and how to make any habit engaging. The Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy. Just right. This is why video games are addictive. They constantly adjust to keep you in this zone. If your habit is too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get anxious. The sweet spot is about 4% beyond your current ability. Challenging enough to require effort, achievable enough to maintain confidence. As you improve, you need to continuously adjust the difficulty. This is why most habits die. They never evolve. You do the same workout, read the same genre, practice the same way. No challenge, no engagement. But there's a second factor: variable rewards. Your brain releases more dopamine when rewards are unpredictable. This is why social media is addictive. You never know what you'll see next. Same with gambling, games, even checking email. You can engineer this into positive habits. Create variety in your workouts. Randomize your reading list. Vary your meditation techniques. The habit stays consistent, but the experience varies. Here's what makes habits truly automatic. The secret is to stay on the edge of boredom. Not so varied that you never develop skill, but not so repetitive that you lose interest. Masters in any field learn to love practicing the fundamentals even when it's boring. The greatest threat to success is not failure, but boredom. We get bored with habits because they stop being novel. The outcome becomes expected. The excitement fades. Many people quit, not because it's hard, but because it's no longer interesting. Professionals stick to the schedule even when they don't feel like it. Amateurs let life get in the way. Professionals know what's important and work toward it consistently. Amateurs get pulled off course by urgency. The only way to become excellent is to be endlessly fascinated by doing the same thing over and over. You have to fall in love with boredom. Not every day will be exciting. The difference between pros and amateurs is that pros show up anyway. Let me break this down into immediate action. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Getting 1% better every day counts for far more in the long run than occasional bursts of massive action. Small habits don't add up, they compound. Here's what to do right now. Choose one tiny habit. Make it so small you can't fail. Read one page, do one push-up, write one sentence. Attach it to something you already do automatically. Do it at the same time and place every day. Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on becoming the type of person who does this behavior. Each repetition is a vote for your new identity. Let the results be a natural consequence of who you're becoming. Because here's what Clear proved. You don't need superhuman motivation or perfect discipline. You need better systems. Design your environment, stack your habits, and make small improvements. Time will do the rest. Remember, every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. What are you voting for today? If you found this helpful and want to dive even deeper, grab your copy below. For more book summaries packed with actionable takeaways without the fluff, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.